Hi there. Thanks for tuning in. This is the Follow Your Passion podcast. I'm your host, Erwin Wils. I'm a mindset and business strategist and founder of Millionaire Life Strategy. In this podcast, I'm interviewing my clients and other entrepreneurs that are following their passion and make a good living out of it. When you want to know more about me or what I can do for you, check out my website, millionaireLifestrategy.com. But first, check out this episode of Follow Your Passion. Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of Follow Your Passion. Let me introduce my guest of today. Her name is Sahra Brandt. Sahra is a wardrobe consultant and she's a true expert. Check out her rankings and reviews. She has actually been named a San Fransisco Bay area trendsetter by Marin Magazine. However, going into fashion wasn't a paved way. Her family tried to push her in another way, even though she knew from early on she wanted to work in fashion. Sahra put herself through fashion school in New York City and then worked as a buyer. When she met her now husband, they moved to Washington, D.C., which isn't a very fashionable town. She took an entry-level job at a law firm because it felt like that was what she was supposed to do, yet it wasn't fulfilling. And true passion cannot be ignored. And in 2017, she decided to invest in herself and launch a business, Shop the City. She now offers in-person services across California, as well as virtual sessions all over the globe. So welcome, Sahra. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing great as well. Thank you for asking. So you've always been, I would almost say, in love with fashion, but you didn't have the support from your family to pursue a career into that. How was that for you?
It was tough. I felt like, it was my calling from a very early age. I would watch TV. One of my favorite shows was Lizzie McGuire, and I would stay up late drawing what I thought that the characters on the show should wear and ideas that I had for their outfits. And my family was just like, oh, that's just a phase. Oh, you're not going to do anything with that. What are you going to be, like a model in fashion? Like they didn't really understand what types of careers were in fashion.
Mm-hmm.
And they just wanted me to become a veterinarian or a lawyer or, something like that.
Yeah. And then, but yet you pursued your passion, you followed through fashion school. I guess you had to do it all by yourself, or did you get some sort of support for that?
No, I graduated high school early at age 16 and then moved to New York City by myself and kind of emancipated myself and put myself through school and my education and all of my internships and really just made it for myself. I didn't really have any help along the way. Just kind of just in New York City on my own as a little teenager.
Wow. And then you met your now husband and you
Yes.
moved to Washington, D.C. Was that because of his job or?
Yeah. So we met when he was living in Washington, D.C. and visiting some college friends that lived in New York City. At the time, I was working in retail wholesale. So for showrooms and kind of helping designers get their items into stores. And I had been in New York for almost a decade at that point, 7 years. And I was like, you know what? I could use a change of pace. Why don't I move down to DC and maybe live there for 2 years and see what it's like? And then we'll go back to New York. But I ended up being there for 5 years and working as a buyer for a local boutique down there. And then DC is a very stifling, unique place where everyone's like, what do you do? Are you in government? Are you in legal? And the boutique I was working for there was really, really small. So, they didn't provide health insurance or, any of those other like adult amenities that you look for in a job.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually ended up taking an entry-level job in a law firm because it felt like it was what I was supposed to be doing at the time. And I worked there for maybe 2 to 3 years before I was like, I can't do this. This is not what I am meant to do. And that's when I started my business in 2017. Is I was working for a law firm and just like this is what my grandparents would have wanted. This is what my family would have wanted, but it's not me.
I think that's a very big pivoting moment in your life, to recognize that it's not actually you. It's what your parents are thinking you would become, or your grandparents, but it's not you. It's not who you are. It's not authentic, right?
Exactly.
So what made you choose the role of wardrobe consultant? Because like you said, there are many roles within the fashion industry. You could have been a designer or a model or something else, and you chose to become a wardrobe consultant.
Yeah. So when I was a teenager, I did do modeling. By the time 2017 rolled around, I was older and not like model standard sizing. Um, and I think that being in DC and seeing what people were wearing every day, what I wanted to do is kind of help the people in DC kind of elevate their style and get out of that like suit set funk and
Yeah.
maybe start dressing a little bit cooler and like finding good weekend clothes. Um, but I ended up moving across the country to San Francisco in late 2017. So just after I started my business, which San Francisco has another unique aesthetic. And again, I think my goal and why I chose styling was that I just wanted to help people who felt like they didn't know what to wear. They were too busy with their jobs, either in DC in government and legal, or in San Francisco in tech, and just like wanting to find a balance of, elevated and fashion forward, but still like maintain their personality and their own personal aesthetic. And
Nice.
I think that really attracted me to it is that each client was a little bit different. It was exciting. It wasn't like a legal job where, you're staring at the same forms every single day and it's all kind of like, you know, it's almost like data entry where it's always the same. With styling, every client is a little bit different and it pushes my mind.
Yeah, and I totally get what you're saying, because um it's what you've been through yourself as well, staying authentic to yourself. And if you would dress up like everybody else is dressing up, everybody would walk in a gray suit, right? But
Hmm.
if it isn't you, then it doesn't feel right. So I guess that the main part of your um, added value is maintaining the authenticity of your clients.
Exactly. And I think a lot of my clients don't even know their own personal style. And so they come to me and they're like, I don't know how to describe what I want, or what do I want to look like, or like how to describe my style. And then by the end of it, they're like, wow, you were able to articulate and put into words and images what I was trying to convey. And I think that
Nice.
that's just really rewarding.
Oh, I can totally imagine that. Yeah. And do you also shop for your clients, or how does it work?
Yeah, so I have a few different options of services that I work with my clients. The one is doing a wardrobe audit where we go through their closet and kind of deduce what is working for them, what's fitting, what's in good condition, what is kind of serving their current lifestyle.
Hmm.
And then I do provide about 30 or so shopping links after the session to items to add to their wardrobe that will make them feel more them or fill any holes in their wardrobe. And then I do also have a personal shopping service that is like we go shopping together and we try new styles, we try new brands, we try new retailers to find what's working for them. And then the same thing, I provide a follow up with links to other items to shop. Um, and same thing with my kind of like my virtual styling is kind of more heavily focused on the links of items that are going to like make my client feel most them.
Nice. And are you offering the similar services online as well? Because, like I said in the introduction, you also have clients globally. I think even in Australia.
I do, yeah. I've had some clients in Australia and Germany and England. Yeah, so my virtual stylings, we do a little bit of a wardrobe audit. Mostly, I kind of give them a list of the things that they definitely need to be getting rid of right now and what to look for in like the quality of their clothes to
Hmm.
deduce if they should be donated or consigned or something. And then the focus is on putting together a lookbook of visual inspiration for them, of ideas for outfits and aesthetic and everything. And then the shopping portion, which is links to items to shop online. And when I do work internationally with clients, I do, change my VPN and make sure that everything's going to be available to them without like insane US shipping costs or something.
Yeah, yeah, I can imagine. So I was just thinking that does the environment that a person lives in also tell somebody something about their own fashion style?
Absolutely. I love to take into consideration where people are living because someone who lives in DC, their casual aesthetic is going to be very different than like a San Francisco casual aesthetic. Or if someone lives in Chicago and,
Mhm.
it's winter time, like they definitely need different clothes than someone who lives in Southern California. And
Right.
then, people who live in Australia, depending on what part of Australia they live in, making sure that, the clothing that they're going to have and that I recommend are going to be seasonally appropriate for them and suit their lifestyle. So there's a whole lot of things that go into kind of deducing their personal style profile, as I call it, which
Hmm.
is like their lifestyle, where they live, what they do for work, what they do for fun, and like their personal style preferences, their sizing. All of that goes into creating their own unique aesthetic.
Nice. That's great that how you say that you take everything into consideration because it's more than just your looks, I guess.
Exactly. That's when putting together your wardrobe, it's more than just how you look and how you want to present yourself. It's an expression of your whole persona. And I really try to evoke that with my clients and making sure that, like, you know, hey, you're a world traveler. Let's kind of give you a little bit of like a hippie bohemian aesthetic. Or, you are deep in this culture and married to an Indian man. Let's kind of infuse that, but also make it Americanized and like feel like you or something. Kind of taking, like you said, everything about their life and putting it into who they are, and then having their clothes evoke that so that they don't have to do as much talking or they don't look like, a cookie cutter person.
Yeah, nice. So you just said, once you launch your business, almost a few months later, you moved to San Francisco. How did you
Yes.
manage to create your business in a new city?
That's a great question. So, when we moved, I took the first 6 months off from my business where I kind of just focused on my virtual stylings, but I didn't take on any new clients in my new city because I wanted to really understand San Francisco's aesthetic, the boutiques that are here. I did a lot of people watching. I would just go sit in the park and be like, okay, what are people wearing here? What types of brands are people wearing? And kind of going to the different neighborhoods so I could really understand the unique aesthetic of San Francisco and its, greater neighborhoods. Like there's the North Bay, the South Bay, the East Bay. They all have different aesthetics. And then after that, I started using Thumbtack, which was the first time that I had used them to gain business and got my first few clients on Thumbtack and have been a Thumbtack top pro ever since.
Nice. And it's great that you're what you're actually saying is before you started acquiring clients, you did some very in-depth market research, right?
Exactly. I wanted to make sure I didn't come in with my preconceived notions or any leftover residue of, DC style aesthetics. I wanted to make sure that I was servicing my Bay Area clients as best I could.
Nice. And how did you know to do that? Was it just your like your subconscious that it feel like you had to do it like that, or?
Yeah, I think it was my subconscious. I think it was imposter syndrome and nerves, and just making sure that I wanted to do it right.
Nice. And how was it to acquire your first client in San Francisco and making it success?
It was intimidating. I was
Yeah.
pretty nervous. She was, a pretty high level woman who worked for a really prestigious company in the city, in the arts and creative world.
Mm,
And it ended up going really well. And she works with me once a year now. And I feel like after that, every consecutive client that I got and it went really well, I was like, oh, yeah, kind of like breaking down my own imposter syndrome barriers and just feeling better and more confident. And like I fully grasped the Bay Area lifestyle and my clients' lifestyles.
nice, nice. And I can recognize this imposter syndrome because my clients are suffering from the same, that they think they are not good enough, that others are better than they are, and they have to follow like maybe 10, 20 more trainings or workshop or classes before they got enough luggage to help the clients as if they had in their mind. While once you start doing it and getting those successes and start getting some momentum, it just flows naturally, and you realize you don't need any more trainings or workshops or whatever. You're great at what you're doing, and you start recognizing your own talent.
Exactly. And I think that that's a big thing is like you can start small, you can start undercharging and just getting more clients and just really learning your own value. And then being able to work your way up from there and, raise your prices to where you're like, oh, yeah, this makes sense. And then finding peers that can really help lift you up has been really pivotal too.
Nice. Yeah. And I think that's what you said, finding peers. It's surrounding you with the right people that will elevate you and motivate you. That will definitely make a difference in your business and your success in your business as well.
Exactly. I have a great group of friends here, and we're all little small business owners and constantly sharing tips and tricks, whether it's, how to do the most trending TikTok, right now, or
Yeah.
it's how to get your business more noticed on Google or something. But we're just kind of each other's cheerleaders, always supporting each other and doing our best to lift each other up and be our business besties.
Nice. So how did an American lady ended up in Australia or Germany?
I did not travel to there. I worked with them virtually, and I don't remember. I think at least one of the Australian clients found me on Thumbtack because she wanted more of an LA aesthetic. So she
Mm,
was looking for a California stylist. And then there's another platform that I am on called Style Space, and that's how I found my German client. Um, and then I'm in London every couple of years or so, and I have some really great colleagues and friends out there. And so they've talked me up, and I've gotten some clients virtually from there.
nice, nice. And do you have any ambition to grow your global footprint, so to speak?
Yeah, I would love to, every time I travel, be able to like work with a client or something abroad. I think that that would be super fun. And just then having that word of mouth to be like, oh, I worked with Sarah. She's not in Italy right now, but you can work with her virtually. She knows some really great local shops and stuff. And I think that would be really fun.
Oh, definitely. And it would make every vacation a business trip, right?
Exactly. I can write it off as a tax break.
Yeah, nice. So, what do you love to do most? Doing your virtual sessions or just in person?
I think I prefer in person because I feel like I can check people's body language a little bit better. And I just get a better sense of their personality and who they are by spending like a good chunk of time with them. My sessions are 4 to 5 hours, sometimes 6 hours when I'm in person with a client. And I've had the comment that it's like hanging out with a best friend, and it doesn't feel like, I'm judgy or anything, but I think that that's like I'm getting to know them as a person, as a friend, and it really helps to kind of solidify who they are. And it just makes my job easier to be able to be like, hey, I have learned who you are. Now I can infuse that into your aesthetic. And then it just makes it a much more magical experience for both of us.
Nice. So I was just wondering, if you look at your clientele, most of them, are they male or female?
I would say about 70% female and about 30% male. So I do have a good chunk of male clients.
Nice. Because, for women, fashion is very important and the looks actually. And I can imagine for men that it's very hard to be fashionable, so to speak, to know what suits them. So I guess is it different working with a male or a female?
I don't treat it any differently. My main
Hmm.
goal is still to understand them, understand their needs, understand who they are, and kind of infuse that into their
Hmm.
personal style aesthetic. And I think it's a misconception. I think men care about how they look, but
Hmm.
they're kind of like socially told that they're not supposed to care and that it doesn't really matter. But I think in bigger cities, men, take a little bit more pride in their aesthetic, and they come to me for help on what's trending or what's going to suit them and their personality and their lifestyle the best.
Yeah, I can also imagine that men are more likely to accept what you're advising
I think
because
both of them
you're
are,
the expert.
yeah. I think if anyone's paying me as a stylist, they're pretty accepting of my opinions. At
Yeah.
least I hope so. Um, but yeah, I think the men are generally pretty excited about like their new wardrobes because, a lot of them have never considered their wardrobe so deeply before working with me. And then
Yeah.
I ask questions about like, well, what do you want to evoke? And like, what do you think this outfit says about you? And it kind of gets them thinking a little deeper. Whereas I feel like a woman is already kind of thinking about what she's portraying to the world when she gets dressed.
Yeah. So I was just wondering, if you work with females, does the makeup that a woman uses also makes a difference on her outfits, or doesn't that isn't that incorporated in the whole picture?
So I am not a makeup and beauty guru. I
Hmm.
focus mostly on the clothes, but I do recommend beauty people for them to follow or to work with. But I definitely think it can add to the package of confidence. But
Hmm.
again, it comes down to, their comfort level. Some people are not as comfortable in a full face of makeup. Some people just want to wear, mascara and all that, just a mascara and a light gloss. Some people want to like have advice on like what to do with their hair, how to color their hair, how to cut it. And I offer some like loose advice on that, but then I generally recommend them to a more seasoned professional in that scope.
Perfect. And I think that it truly it adds to the looks of your client. Whether or not they're using heavy makeup or just light makeup. Um, so, do you have a lot of cooperations with those makeup artists or hairdressers or whatever?
Yeah, absolutely. I try to have like a good roster and a well-rounded friend group of professionals to recommend. I have a couple of really amazing hair people in the Bay Area, one to two in DC and like one in Chicago. And then for makeup, I have a couple, but I generally point them in the direction of YouTube and Instagram and finding someone that has a similar face shape and coloring as them to kind of, follow and learn from them
Yeah.
and just making sure that they are going to do what feels most comfortable for them.
Nice. Does not to be how do you say it? Racistic, but the skin color also influences the looks of your clients. Because the reason I'm mentioning it, because I have two adopted boys. They're both dark color. They have a dark colored skin, and it seems that every color just stands great with them. You know, you can have those very bright yellow shirts or purple or whatever color, even black, and it still looks great on them. While if I would put on such thing, it doesn't look good. I can promise you that. But
there is something in the wardrobe styling field called color analysis.
mm-hmm.
And that takes into account your skin tone, your skin undertones, your hair color, your eye colors, everything to kind of create what colors are going to look and work best for you. And that is a really fun thing of like figuring out like, hey, this client looks terrible in pastels, or like a yellow or green is going to make them look sickly. But this client, the yellows and mustards and greens, like really help make them look more vibrant and bring out some of their undertones. So there's definitely an art to that. Excuse me.
Yeah.
There's definitely an art to that with trying to figure out what colors and are going to work best for each client. I recently had a client who we went and worked together on Sunday, and she mentioned to me that her hair was going to be dyed blonde and cut short on Wednesday. And so that definitely went into the consideration of when we were shopping and being like, okay, so the green that we're shopping or trying on right now looks great with your kind of like mid-brown hair, but this color blue is going to look better as you are blonder and kind of make your eyes pop better. So
Yeah.
things like that definitely get taken into consideration.
Yeah. I know, for instance, that if it's winter time, you know, you have those great wool sweaters that are white. It will make my own face even look more pale because I'm not that colored, right? So those are things that I have to take in consideration. Even though the sweater looks great, you know, I just can't wear it I could wear it in the summer, but then it's too hot. So
You have to
yeah.
strike a balance. I feel like my husband has certain clothes that I'm like, oh, you can't wear that today. You are not tan enough. It's not going to work on you today, babe.
Yeah. So taking that into account, is it hard to live with you?
I don't think so. I think my husband's pretty sartorially inclined as well. We're both kind of trend forecasters, I would say. Like he just texted me a little bit ago about some hat that he bought last year is now on like GQ's most wanted list.
Oh,
And he
wow.
was like, oh, look at me. I did it a year ago. We're both pretty trend forward in that way that we're like, okay, I think this is going to be like the next big trend, and kind of always shopping for ourselves and each other, which is not good for our bank accounts.
I can imagine that.
But it's fun to bounce ideas off of each other and both
Nice. Well,
care
at least
deeply.
you're leading by example, right? For your clients.
Exactly.
Nice. So, if you would think about yourself 5 years from now, where do you see your brand going?
I want to help people. I just want to continue what I'm doing and maybe on a more elevated level. Right now, I kind of help everyday people, and I would love to branch out and start helping more higher profile people who are, CEOs, speaking at conferences, women in tech, men in tech, anyone who's kind of got a kind of more prominent persona,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of helping them kind of master that for social media or speaking engagements or what have you, to kind of really make sure that they're putting their best foot forward.
Nice. Well, you're not far away from Silicon Valley. Hollywood is
Exactly.
not that far away from you, so I guess you're in the right spot over there.
Exactly. And I definitely want to do more One of my goals this year was to style a music video. I do editorial styling as well. I'd love to get into some bigger name magazines and just like continue doing what I love every day. I'm so happy and lucky to do it.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, I guess when you're just doing what you're great at, enjoying every minute of it, those things will come on your path as well. So
Exactly.
nice. So, Sarah, if you would, if there's any tip or little piece of wisdom you would like to share with your audience about following your passion or becoming an entrepreneur, what would that be?
That you just need to do it and trust in yourself. That, if you want to do it and you want to make it your business, you will find a way and you will become happy and you will manifest it. And then the money will come to you and everything will work out. You just have to trust in the universe and trust in yourself and your skills and your passion.
Thank you. And I think you're a great example of that because you didn't have all the support from your family, but you pushed through, so to speak. You followed your passion and look where you are right now. So you're doing great.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm living the dream.
Yeah. So one more thing I wanted to ask you before we break up. There was this little, you said you were top 3 ranking nationally on a certain website. What website is it? Is it especially for wardrobe consultants or is it fashion or?
So that's on Thumbtack.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a website that you can use nationally for any sort of service provider. But if you're looking for a wardrobe consultant, I am in the top 3 nationally. So for my virtual stylings, my in-person stylings, I'm going to be one of those first 3 names that pop up when you search for a wardrobe consultant on Thumbtack.
Nice. That's great. How does it feel for you to reach that level, to be recognized actually for your skills?
It's just really exciting. I feel like every time I get recognition, whether it's being named a Marin trendsetter or being named a Thumbtack Top Pro or seeing myself as one of the top rankings on Google or Thumbtack or Yelp, it just further instills in myself that I am doing what I'm meant to be doing. And I have followed my passion and I am just doing it and living my dream.
Nice. So if people want to know more about you, Sarah, or get in touch with you, maybe even work with you, how can they do that?
Yeah, they can just go to my website, which is www.shopthe.city. So there's no .com there, it's .city. And all of my services are listed out there. You can book a session, you can book a consultation call to make sure that, you understand my process and you really do want to work with me. And any questions that you have, you can either do that on the consultation call or you can email me. And my email is info@shopthe.city.
Nice.
So, and I do have some, I post tips and tricks and style guides to my TikTok and Instagram. And the username on there is @shop_the_city.
That shouldn't be so hard to find. So
no.
So, thank you a lot, Sarah, for being my guest. I wish you all the best. And I know you're following your passion, even though you got some roadblocks on the way, but you pushed through and now you're living the life you love to live. So well done. And thanks again for being my guest and let's stay in touch. I hope you liked this episode. Make sure to check out the other episodes because each one is filled with interesting and inspiring stories and energy. Are you following your passion as well and make a good living out of it? Contact me and you could be my next guest. Would you like to follow your passion but are not there yet? Check out my website millionairelifestrategy.com and book an appointment to discover what I could do for you. Don't forget to share the podcast with your friends so that they get inspired as well.